subsidy issue is still reverberating across board. And so there are actions, reactions, and conversations around it is still ongoing because it's an important issue, very important, that is fundamental to both the welfare and the security of citizens. And so I like the way the New Telegraph captured it. It was like a response to those who were cheering on President Tinubu for taking a bold step and trying to make it look like the former president didn't do the right thing. They didn't have the courage. There's this idea of courage about doing the right thing. And so I'm sure it was on that basis that this response came to say, look, we didn't do it because you would have lost election. So I like the way they captured it. I delayed subsidy removal to allow you, APC, win elections. So that is the proper context of that statement. However, that statement itself is one that is, for me, a product of low level of thinking that characterized the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. And I would have thought that by now, the least they can do for us is to just keep quiet for now. Let us forget about the trauma that we've been through in the last 8 years, particularly in the kind of statements they made throughout, that added to that trauma. This is one of such kind of statements. Number one, it is not true that the former president didn't remove subsidy. He removed subsidy in 2016 when he jacked up the price of PMS from 87 naira that he inherited in 2015 to 145 naira and declared subsidy gone. He did it. But there was a consequence to that action. Nigeria went into a recession immediately. That singular action depressed the economy. It ruined lives. But they did it with the same promise that the current administration has done is well, that, the price will come down when there's competition, the regulation, all sorts of jargons.
That before you know it, the competition will force it to be like...
When that didn't happen, like
GSM and card, I remember
it is an unnecessary equivalence. You can't compare what happened in the GSM or communication sector with what we are trying to do in the energy sector. They are not on the same pedestal. And so, when the prices began to go up, because at the time you removed subsidy in 2016, international price of crude appreciated a bit, and so what that meant was the local price of PMS, because the importing PMS was going to increase, and his own election was also coming, his own election, so he restored subsidy so that he could also win his own election. Yes, and because they saw the effect of subsidy on inflation, that was the first time Nigeria's inflationary trend crossed the double-digit mark because of subsidy removal. I remember penning an opinion then to say, look, how Buhari took us into recession and hyperinflation was because he removed subsidy on PMS and that he should restore it. So its restoration kind of, mitigated the effect a little bit. And, it didn't get as bad as it is now. So he had to do it for his own survival in government as well. And because, as a matter of fact, this conversation around subsidy, we need to have a rethink about it. This brings me to another important question. Why will subsidy removal lead to the loss of election of a presidential candidate and a party? Because it's a bad thing to do. It is like removing from the people the last, most important, most effective intervention in their lives. So if you know that you're going to do something that will make you lose election, it means you shouldn't do it.
I mean, there's something hazy about what you want to do.
It is simply bad. Look, again, I will insist, people have denounced subsidy for more than 20 years, so that Nigerians began to see subsidy as something that was bad for them, even when it was good. So it was when it was removed now again that we now saw that, they've taken from us the last thing the government was still managing to give to us. Let me restate it here again, and I will emphasize it. Energy subsidy, not just petrol, diesel inclusive, electricity inclusive, any energy product and service, needs to be subsidized by government because of productivity's sake. No economy survives high cost of energy. None. That is why it is a priority of every government in the world to subsidize food. It's called food security. And subsidize energy. It is called energy security. Governments spend hundreds of billions of dollars. In fact, in 2022, the global amount of money that was spent on subsidy was $1 trillion globally to subsidize energy. As we speak, Germany has imposed a subsidy on electricity And it's going to cost it 5 billion euros for year 2023 for its industrial output. That subsidy entails the government of Germany taking up 80% of the cost of electricity for manufacturers and industrialists. This is in addition to the fact that they subsidize food in Germany, they subsidize education, and they subsidize housing. And they have a social security welfare scheme for vulnerable and indigent citizens. How do you expect a country like China that subsidizes energy with $130 billion, $130 billion as of 2022 alone, to manufacture goods from Guangzhou, and you that is in about manufacturing shoes and pay 40% tariff on electricity increase? How are you going to compete with what is coming out of China, even in that area market, considering the cost of production? So when governments subsidize energy globally, they are doing it to boost productivity. And that's why the narrative that subsidizing petrol was subsidizing consumption is a flawed one. It's one that the media should please stop talking about.
No, but then there's a problem, really, because we've been made to understand, or to believe, really, over the years, that it's just a few Nigerians that are benefiting from this subsidy removal. And that's why Nigerians actually bought into it during the election, as they were making it campaign promises.
Those we trusted the most, those we rallied around as champion of the people, lied to us. They deceived us, they scammed us. And then we swallow this poisonous pill. If it is the case that it's only a few people that are benefiting from subsidy, why will it have led to loss of election? And what is the reality today? People are trekking to work. People can no longer go to work. There are fewer cars on the road. The economy is on a downhill. Inflation is setting, hyperinflation and unemployment. People are losing jobs already. Companies are shutting down. You know why? PMS is the most important energy source in Nigeria. Because we are an informal economy generally, and the SMEs dominate that informal sector. And the main source of energy to run in SMEs is PMS. So Nigerians don't consume petrol for leisure. You see, in some jurisdictions, for example in the UK, electricity is their main source of energy. And so that's why the UK government has imposed an energy price cap. What is it called? Subsidy. That is, citizens should be shielded from paying the right amount of price for electric power, because it will disrupt their lives, it will depress the economy. And so the UK government, under Liz Truss, imposed a $100 billion subsidy on electricity and cooking gas. So every government must prioritize energy security, which is affordability of energy and availability, meaning petrol, for example, which runs our economy essentially, should be available at an affordable price. It's a responsibility of government. Governments have been corrupt. The money that they should have used and prioritized for our welfare and security, they are consuming it with relish. This was the conversation we refused to have before this election. Cut down on corruption. Those that are most subsidy from you are still driving a fleet of convoys that are being paid for by government. They are still appointing aides. Your speaker just appointed, your speaker of the parliament just appointed 33 aides in this first instance. Look, our political leaders are still behaving like drunken sailors aboard the sinking ship. And they're asking us to sacrifice. Do you know why government after government have insisted on removing subsidy? You know why? That was the only thing that was effective in Nigeria. Despite the corruption associated with subsidy, the only thing that government was really spending money on was subsidy, because it must get to you, it must get to me at the pump. It is that one that gets to you that is paying government, not the corruption one, because if they divert this money to other avenues of expenditure, you can't even track it. If, for example, the government decides to say we have use subsidy savings to vote for primary health care in your village, how will you go and ascertain whether it is there or not? Is there no fraud in procurement? Why is government not stopping procurement entirely because of the fraud associated with procurement? Is there no fraud in every aspect, including recruitment, including appointment of anti-corruption agencies? Is there no corruption associated with it? Why has government not disbanded Nigeria entirely? Because Nigeria is endemically corrupt. Why are we not telling government to fight corruption? It's the responsibility of government to fight corruption. It's the responsibility of government to fix refineries. It is a shame. It is a shame that an oil-producing country like Nigeria, a leading member of OPEC, does not have one functional refinery at home. It is a shame. That should be the conversation. It's not subsidy removal. The subsidy that they've removed is going to destroy our economy. It's already destroying it. You can see the numbers. No country survives high cost of energy. None. Energy cost in UK, the cost of living crisis in UK, that are still battling with today. Yes. Electricity subsidized in France. Our president went to France for a summit, right? The company that provides electricity in France is owned by the French federal government. And it subsidized electricity in France. That's why France wasn't affected by the cost of living crisis that affected UK. So, if there's anything that our president should have learned from France, it is subsidy on energy. That France he went to, he should have learned there that Macron subsidizes electricity for his citizens. So when you go and celebrate subsidy removal as an achievement, you begin to wonder, are people in government actually thinking?
Because we are actually seeing, even from that France visit of the president, that investors are now having confidence because of the fact that all subsidy has been removed.
Investors not having loss of confidence in the U.S. economy because the U.S. subsidizes food and subsidizes energy. The United States government spends an average of $50 billion every single year subsidizing fossil fuels and renewables. The largest component of American budget is 19%. It goes to social security and welfare, which is outright consumables. So why is America still the hub of both foreign and overseas investment? How come Saudi that subsidizes diesel, subsidizes petrol, subsidizes gasoline, subsidizes education to foreign studies level?